Sometimes people don't want to see your sadness because they're afraid it'll surface their sadness. And they've worked really hard to keep it suppressed. And so they're avoiding your pain to keep from having to acknowledge their pain. And part of me thinks that there is an element of that inside this story. Eli tells her to go home and eat, and she does, and she feels better. That's interesting and surprising to me. I've been trying to eat my feelings for years, and I usually just end up fatter and still sad. And I'm pretty sure that this was Eli's strategy too, because he had a lot of family drama, and he also had unlimited access to delicious temple barbecue, because that's how the sacrificial system worked. You bring like the best lamb or goat or whatever that you had, and some of it got burned up and some of it got distributed as a part of the celebration feast. And a good section of it goes back to the priests. They get all the choice barbecue. And I think we ought to do that here at our church, because I love barbecue, you guys. But I think he was using food to avoid his feelings, partially because there's this other verse. When the man gave Eli the bad news, he fell backward off his chair and broke his neck and died because he was old and fat. That's in the Bible, you guys. Doesn't this change the whole story for you? She's in there sobbing. I don't know if you can see from this, but he has a plate of nachos on his lap, and he's just watching, and he's like, I get that you're sad, but you can't cry here. You should go home. Maybe eat some ribs. Sop up that grease with some unleavened bread. That's what I do. Listen, Fat Eli, you've been telling people you're a big bone for years, but as a friend, you need to start feeling your feelings, because we all see how wobbly the legs on that chair are, and one day it's gonna snap. And that's exactly what happened, foreshadowing. And here's why I tell you all that. Whatever you do to avoid dealing with the sadness inside of you will eventually enslave you. And maybe you're looking at this and you're like, man, and I don't know what else to do. Because what I'm going through is overwhelming, and this is my issue. So it's like, I have to be the one to deal with it on my own. I don't want to bother other people, and I don't want them to feel bothered by me. But as Christ followers, this is not the way that we're called to live. Galatians chapter 6, verse 2, it says this: share each other's burdens, and in this way, obey the law of Christ. If you think you're too important to help someone, you're only fooling yourself. You are not that important. Who in your life could you safely express the full range of your emotions to? We lock it inside because we don't know where to go with it or who to talk to about it. This is one of the saddest things to me about the Hannah story. Who does she have that's safe just to talk about everything that's going on in her life with? Nobody. And I think this is the state of a lot of people. But what if you decided it was okay to admit where you're at, and to not have it all together, and to trust others with your story, and to commit to the ongoing process of recovery? This is the beginning of healing.